I'm delighted United have appointed Bruno as captain. As a Liverpool fan, to watch the way he melted down, we put 7 past them, was hysterical. Flat track bully, says Nick. Oh, it's a bit tough, isn't it? Manchester United have named Bruno Fernandes as their new club captain. The announcement comes after Harry Maguire said he was stripped of the captaincy on Sunday after being given the armband in January 2020 by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't think you were wholly convinced about Bruno Fernandes taking the armband when we talked about this on Monday. You sort of said that you wouldn't be against Martinez, Casemiro taking it. Now you're backtracking and saying it's the obvious choice.
So because I back the case for both Casemiro and Martinez, while also saying I think it will be Bruno Fernandes, and I understand the reasoning, that means that I'm not behind Bruno. Is that how you're
not behind it? But I just think I can see
dressing this up.
I can see that you were sort of just switched slightly over the last couple of days once it became apparent that this was going to be the case.
I'd love to hear the audio again. I think what I said was that Manchester United almost had to make Bruno the captain. He wore the armband so much last season that
That's
they didn't.
An endorsement, isn't it?
It would be a snub. Well, no, but listen, that Liverpool game, he didn't cover himself in glory. I was on air that night. It was one of the worst nights of my broadcasting career, watching the goals rain in at Anfield. But while Bayo Akinfenwa was absolutely berating me from the opposite side of the studio. However, I think he has proved himself a leader. If you go back, particularly that lockdown season, you look what he did there for Manchester United. He was the driving force. He's got a tremendous engine. He's going to be there week in, week out. I think he played more games than any player in Europe last season.
Correct.
Erik ten Hag, very much behind this decision. He believes that Fernandes has inspirational qualities on the field, in the dressing room, the way he conducts himself around the club. Interestingly, I'm told that ten Hag also values the knowledge of the game that Bruno Fernandes has, the way that he communicates with his teammates, and the fact he represents the culture and the standards at Manchester United. What I think they do want to do, and you'll see this in the signings they've already made, that Mason Mount, despite the fact he's still relatively young, is a good leader, a good character. Clearly Onana's got a bit about him in that respect as well. I think they want to build a team of leaders, much like a lot of clubs have got now, this leadership group. I was speaking to Dan Byrne about this at Newcastle. They've got a leadership group made up of him, Callum Wilson, Kieran Trippier is on it as well. And they really take the lead role in the dressing room. And I think that's the modern way now. You don't get the sort of John Terry, Roy Keane type captains. I think captaincy is become a very different armband to wear than the one that maybe they did when we were growing up.
And that's great. It was nice to hear the Manchester United PR briefing. But what about the feeling that many fans have got that sometimes he can be a little bit too demonstrative and moany on the pitch, and that sometimes isn't a great look?
Many fans or many rival fans?
No,
I don't think it's many Manchester United fans.
In fact, you heard maybe it's not many Manchester United fans, but you did hear one even then, just on our little clip that we played. And in fact, when we did a discussion about this on the Sunday session this Sunday, we had a few Manchester United fans ring in and say just that they didn't want Bruno to be the captain. They wanted Casemiro or Lisandro Martinez to be the captain. Look, I think Bruno should be the captain because I think he is...
So you're just trying to create an argument. It's our final show together.
I'm not creating an
Peace
argument.
Peace and love, and you just want to row.
It's called About Debate. I know you're too tired to have one today because the week's taken its toll on you. But I'm just trying to, play devil's advocate, ask the question, just make sure that test the argument on whether or not he is the right person.
I think it's the right appointment.
If you look at his statistics, 13 goals, 13 assists last season, most assists for the club and second top scorer behind Rashford. He scored 10 plus goals in 4 seasons consecutively for Manchester United. That's the top scorer in all competitions since his debut in February 2020.
He's a good player. He's a better player than people give him credit for.
Created in the Premier League this season, most by any Manchester United player in a season since 2003-2004. 52 assists for Manchester United. Only Kevin De Bruyne has more assists since his Premier League debut in February 2020. So he ticks all the right boxes for me. But I don't think it's universal that people were saying it's a great appointment.
I think what you might see now that he's got the armband on a permanent basis, you might see the disappearance of some of the histrionics and the theatrics that certainly agitate rival fans and do at times frustrate Manchester United supporters as well. Here's a question.
Okay.
2 questions, actually. Is the role of a captain in football as important as it once was?
No.
And who do you think is the best captain in the Premier League? Maybe it's one to ponder during the next break. Maybe people want to get in touch, 81089 on the text, or you can give us a call, 03717 22 33 But I'm struggling as I sit here now to think of one really outstanding captain in the sort of Roy Keane, John Terry mould in the Premier League.
Lewis Dunk's good captain at Brighton.
Maybe a bit of a throwback, but then is that a bit of a cliche because he's a centre-back and we expect centre-backs to be skippers?
Yeah, Kieran Trippier's a good captain.
Yeah, but again, not in that sort of Roy Keane shouting and bawling manner. You just don't get that anymore, do you?
Oh, no, but he's very good, especially with the dark arts now. Kieran Trippier, he picked up a lot when he was in Atletico Madrid.
He learned from the best in Simeone. But do you think the captaincy is as important?
No. I don't think it is, and I don't think it's been viewed that way on the continent for a very long time. If you look at someone like Italy, I think they just give the captaincy in the national team just to the person who's got the most caps.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking to players as well. I mean, different players view it differently. Some people really want to be the captain. Some people really want to be the leader. I think with Declan Rice, he's not going to be the captain of Arsenal next season, but he's going to be important in terms of leadership because that's the kind of guy
he's a good leader.
That he is. He's a good captain. He was a good captain, but really, he was only a captain for a year at West Ham United. Although he wore the captain's armband a lot when Mark Noble wasn't there. He hasn't been 4 or 5 years in the Premier League as a captain. Brendan and Epsom has said Seamus Coleman, good captain. He's a bit of a throwback.
Yeah.
And he knows what it means to play for Everton. He certainly has that.
So I guess there's a third question. Is it still the case that
what is a captain?
Centre-backs make better captains? Do you want your goalkeeper as captain? There have been some great examples of keepers. Peter Schmeichel wore the armband when United won the treble. Do you want a centre-forward as captain? Alan Shearer was captain of Newcastle, wasn't he, and led by example? Or are we old school and we still think defenders really should wear it?
Well, Gabby Agbonlahor was supposed to be the captain of the breakfast team for this game we've got
very
coming
true.
up, and he pulled out. That's not what you want from your captain.
That's certainly not leadership,
That's
Gabby.
not leadership. Come on,
I think
Gabby,
he knew you were playing and he got a bit concerned.